To read or not to read? That is the question. Hi kids, welcome to Romeo and Juliet Part 3.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Storytime Part 3 of Romeo and Juliet with my main man, Billy Shakes. Now, Part 2 ended with murder, mystery, intrigue and scandal. Romeo and Juliet had gotten married, but Juliet's cousin Tybalt had killed Romeo's friend Mercutio. So Romeo killed Tybalt in revenge, and now he's been banished from Verona forever. The plot thickens. Let's get stuck into Part 3 of Romeo and Juliet.
Juliet buried herself in her bedroom, waiting for the slow hours of afternoon to turn into night, when Romeo had promised to come to her. She'd asked her nurse to leave her alone, so she was very surprised when she burst in, tears pouring down her cheeks. "Tybalt, your cousin, is dead," sobbed the nurse. "Romeo—" "Not dead too," Juliet gasped. "Dead to you, or as good as dead. He is banished." The nurse closed her eyes, as if to shut out the terrible violence of her news. Because he has killed Tybalt," she whispered. Juliet couldn't believe her ears. "Oh God, did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood?" "It shows you can't trust any man," said the nurse. "Romeo should be ashamed." "I won't listen to you," Juliet burst out. "Shame and Romeo have nothing to do with each other. Tybalt would have killed Romeo, and for that, Romeo is banished. Oh, what shall I do? I've only been a wife for 3 hours." And she flung herself onto her bed, sobs wrenching her whole body. "Hush, don't cry," comforted her nurse. "I know he's hiding in Friar Lawrence's cell. I'll bring him to you in secret." "Quickly," sobbed Juliet. "Where are my parents? They mustn't know." "Downstairs, wailing over Tybalt. Do you want to go to them?" Juliet shook her head. "I'll stay here," she gulped, struggling to hold back her tears. "Let them cry. I must keep my tears for when my Romeo has gone. Hurry, nurse. Bring him to me before we must part forever." Romeo was with Friar Lawrence, pacing up and down his cell, bitterly regretting the way he'd let himself be overcome by anger. When he saw Juliet's nurse, he fell on her like a child seeking comfort. "Tell me how Juliet is. Does she hate me? I killed her cousin, her childhood playmate." "She wants you," the nurse assured him. "But I must leave her," Romeo sobbed. "I have to go. I have been banished." You can't let yourself collapse in a heap," advised the friar. "Be positive. Look at it this way. You're alive. Juliet's alive. You love each other. Go on from there. Soon you'll be able to ask the prince for pardon and announce your marriage to the world, and Montague and Capulet will be reconciled. All will be well." Romeo sighed. "You're right." He left with the nurse, slinking unseen into the quiet back streets into the Capulet's garden. There, he found the rope ladder the nurse had hidden in the vines and climbed up to Juliet's balcony and into her bedroom. Little did he, or Juliet, know that downstairs in the Capulet house, Juliet's parents were busy making plans that would destroy their fragile happiness. "Poor Juliet is so unhappy about Tybalt," her mother was saying. "She hasn't left her bedroom. Let's marry her quickly to Paris. That'll take her mind off her grief. What day is it today?" "Monday," said Lord Capulet. "Then we'll have the wedding on Thursday. We'll leave her alone tonight and tell her tomorrow," Lady Capulet decided. Satisfied with their plan, they went to bed without the slightest suspicion that, across the corridor, Romeo and Juliet were together. Morning came too soon for Juliet. "Are you going?" "It's not yet near day. There was a nightingale, that song, not a lark." Romeo smiled sadly and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Believe me, it was," Juliet insisted, her arms around his neck. Romeo couldn't bear to leave her, though he knew, as Juliet did, that to stay meant certain death for him. "I'd rather stay than go. I'll welcome death," he began. "No, love, live," cried Juliet, kissing him. As dawn lit the sky with a treacherous sun, Romeo climbed down from the balcony to leave his new wife and Verona forever. He'd left just in time. Lady Capulet bustled into Juliet's bedroom like a tidal wave of information. "I'm not well, Mother," Juliet parried, turning away. "This will cheer you up. You're to be married on Thursday to Count Paris," her mother declared. "Oh, you'll be so happy. He's young, rich, handsome. What more could you ask for, you lucky girl?" "I can't," gasped Juliet. "You're still grieving for Tybalt, I know," said her mother smoothly. "But rest assured, we Capulets will find out what that villain Romeo is hiding, and we'll have him killed in revenge." Juliet shook with horror. Her father came in, eager to see how the conversation was going, but when he saw how Juliet had received the news, he was angry. "You should be grateful to us," he snapped. "Please," she begged, throwing herself on her knees. "Don't do this to me." "A daughter must do as her parents say," he shouted, and with that, he and Lady Capulet marched out, slamming the door behind them. Juliet was left alone, feeling like an animal in a trap. How could she marry Paris when she was already married to Romeo? "I need to see Friar Lawrence," she thought. "He might be able to think of a way to save me. I'll tell my parents that before I can marry, I must make my confession. I know they'll believe me, and they will let me see him." The next day, Tuesday, Juliet ran to Friar Lawrence's cell. "I've already heard you're to marry Paris on Thursday," he told her. "I know how to solve your problem." Juliet held out her hands eagerly. "Thank God. I'll do anything you say. Ask me to lurk in a pit of snakes, or chain me to roaring bears, or ask me to lie in a new grave hidden by a dead man." The friar laughed. "Nothing quite so drastic. Nevertheless, you will need courage, which I don't think you lack." He showed her a tiny glass bottle with dark green liquid inside. "I have a potion here in this bottle, made of strong herbs. Swallow it tomorrow night, and there'll be no wedding for you on Thursday. This drug will make you sleep. Better than that, it will make you seem dead. You'll be cold, pale, and still, and your parents will take you to the family vault, where you'll be laid out on a marble tombstone. But don't worry, the drug will last only for 24 hours. Then you'll wake as refreshed as if you've just had a good night's sleep. I'll get a message to Romeo. He and I will watch you wake, and then you can run away with him. How does that sound?" "Wonderful," said Juliet. She whispered to herself, "Love, give me strength," because she was indeed frightened. What if the potion really was a poison? What if the friar regretted marrying them in secret and thought it was better to have Juliet out of the way? What if, shut in the fetid, stale air of the vault, she suffocated? But she could see no other way to help herself. She took the bottle, hid it in her pocket, and went back home. Tuesday passed, and Wednesday. That night, Lady Capulet kissed her fondly. "Go to bed. You'll need your rest, for tomorrow you will be a bride," said Lady Capulet. "Would you like your nurse to stay with you till you sleep?" "No, let me be alone," Juliet replied, though part of her longed to have them both with her to comfort her. What fate awaited her? "God knows when we shall meet again," she thought. But she was determined to grasp the only chance she had to be with her love. And so, after they left, she held the bottle to her lips and drank. "Romeo, I'm coming. I drink to you." She gulped down the potion and sank back onto her pillow. On Thursday morning, the Capulet house was abuzz with wedding preparations. Servants ran to the market to buy the best meat, fruits, dates, almonds, and marzipan. Wine was brought up from the cellar. The tables were laid and decorated with flowers. The cook was busy making a large cake. And Juliet's nurse went to rouse her, but could not wake her up. The friar's potion had done its work. "This is the worst day of my life!" screamed the nurse, racing downstairs. "Juliet is dead!" The household rushed to Juliet's bedside. She lay still and cold, her limbs stiff, her lips blue. "My darling child," sobbed Lady Capulet. "My only child." Lord Capulet put his arms around his wife. "Her wedding flowers must decorate her coffin," he moaned. "Death lies on her like an untimely frost upon the sweetest flower of all the field. Death is my son-in-law. Death is now my only heir."
Well, poor Juliet having to fake her own death for the man that she loves. Things have gotten extra dramatic here in the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. I will see you tomorrow for part 4, the 4th and final instalment of possibly the greatest love story ever told. In the meantime, stay safe, keep yourselves and your families protected by washing your hands, stay positive, and take care. Remember, eagles, keep soaring.